Well, my friends, there's been so much bad news for so long now, I thought I'd share with you a ray of hope. Okay, not just a ray, it's an outburst. It's a supernova of light from none other than the indispensable Victor Davis Hanson, who I admire more than just about anybody in the world, who writes at Pajamas Media that we are about to see an American renaissance, the second that the Obama goat rodeo boards the last helicopter out of Washington, and thanks to Ed Driscoll for the image that brings tears of hope and change to all of us. Now, joining me now to simply walk into Mordor and explore the wreckage of the fallen ruins of Barad-dûr are my comrades in arms, Steve Green and Scott Ott. Welcome, fellas. Lads, VDH lists any number of reasons why we may see an explosion, not only of economic growth and can-do American optimism, once the great healer returns to the skies and the sea levels start to rise once more. Steve, let's start with the obvious one. Businessmen have been harangued, demagogued, taxed, regulated, threatened, beaten, and stolen from. They're sitting on mountains of cash, I don't blame them, waiting to see what new chicanery Congress will impose on them. Are we going to see a boom to end all booms after this self-imposed double-dip inflation?
Yeah, I'm going to answer your question, but first, it's going to have to be after Obama, because I just saw a thing, it was a Drudge Report story just before we started taping. Dick Durbin, big old Senator Dick Durbin, is telling people to make a run on Bank of America. He's telling people to leave Bank of America because of the ATM fees they imposed because of a Durbin amendment to the Dodd-Frank law. Okay, so there is no end to the damage these people can do as long as they're in power. But, you mentioned the mountains of cash. It's almost $2 trillion sitting out there in cold, hard cash. And you know what that is to a businessman? It's a wasted opportunity. You don't make money by sitting on it, just sticking it in a safe. You make money by investing in machine tools and assembly lines and workers. Remember when businesses hired workers? And if you think of that cash as collateral, you're looking at $10 or $20 trillion available for investment. But it's got to be post-Obamacare. It's got to be post-Obama. That's the end of the story.
You betcha. Well, Scotty, what about the foreign policy aspect? Obama spent his first year apologizing for George Bush and America while keeping and expanding Bush's hated policies. Has the "you've got me now" president made America safer? And what do you think is going to happen overseas when he's gone?
Well, I mean, all you have to look at is the fundamental threats that we had to this country that existed before President Obama came in have either maintained their strength or have gotten bigger. I mean, who's cheering on this side of the Atlantic about the rise of Vladimir Putin in Russia? Yeah. What have you heard lately about North Korea? Almost nothing. Iran has been nothing but emboldened. It is talking about putting ships off the coast of the United States, of doing patrols off the coast of the United States. At the very least, once we get rid of the president who has been refusing to assume the leadership position that, frankly, most of the world wants us to assume, once he's out of the way and has ridden off into the sunset, then I think we will restore the American leadership that the world desperately wants.
Is that a funny thought when you mentioned those Iranian ships off our coast? If I was president, I'd say, of course you could sail in international waters. We are actually scheduling a Navy torpedo test in that area on that particular day, but it shouldn't be a problem. Steve, Dr. Hansen said that despite Obama's intransigence on oil, gas, and coal, technological breakthroughs nevertheless have made America into our own domestic Saudi Arabia. If the next president decides to go after the energy supplies located directly under our feet, what do you think would happen to this economy?
2 words: North Dakota.
Yeah.
The unemployment rate in North Dakota, and that's where a sane state government is letting people drill for energy. North Dakota has 3.5% unemployment, 3.5. Really? And look, nothing is stopping President Obama. Right now, he could ensure his reelection. All he needs to do is start issuing permits again for drilling and demand that Congress send him an Obamacare repeal for his signature. Those 2 things, he could do them both tomorrow, and he would get credit for the American Renaissance. So, you know what? I don't want to hear one more word about how the next GOP nominee is some sort of scary ideologue. Not one more word.
Beautifully said. You can hear more beautifully said things because Steve Green hosts the Weekend Blogs and Hair of the Dog segments right here at PJTV, and you can always find them at vodkapundit.com. Scotty, they're going to deny it till their dying day. But the fact is, progressives like Barack Obama scold and hector America because they don't love America for what she is. They only like it for what it could be if we'd all get this messy democracy out of the way and let them change things in their own image. So what do you think happens to the national mood if we get an unapologetic American exceptionalism-loving, honest-to-God leader who knows enough to get government out of the way?
I think it's exactly what Victor Davis Hanson is talking about. It is a renaissance. And as you've pointed out in the past, Barack Obama was their unicorn. He was their once in eternity chance to show that progressive ideas, progressive policies really work. He has utterly failed. He has proven what's happened in every country that's ever tried such things. And so once that cancer on the system is out of the way, I think you'll see the growth of an America like we used to know and like we've never seen before. And frankly, I think that most people aren't looking for a president with a vision. They're looking for a president who will just let us have our own visions.
I couldn't agree more. When that day comes, when he loses, we're going to stand here on Trifecta and look at the ruins of Barad-dûr. I'll be Aragorn, Scott can be Gandalf, and Steve can be Legolas, let's say. Scott Ott's new book, or rather his new series on the Constitution called Freedom's Charter, is about to blow your socks off, and it's right here at PJTV. Now, Dr. Hanson points out how the defeat at Thermopylae rallied the Greeks to a renaissance, a glory far greater than any they'd ever imagined possible. Those of us who did not live through World War II in this country forget just how dark and hopeless things seemed in the early days of that war, and the outburst of can-do optimism that followed it, built and freed the world. Now, I don't know if the spirit of American inventiveness and competition can be beaten out of us by these race-baiting class warriors. I hope and suspect that it cannot. I do know that we'll have a much better chance of launching a new American century if we start the process in 2012 as opposed to 2016. For Steve Green, Scott Ott, and all the rest of us here at PJTV, I'm Bill Whittle.